practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
My expectation is we go out and dominate and create a nightmare and make people never want to play you again.
If you are a fan of another team and your coach is not out there doing everything that Kirby Smart is doing right now, you are already losing. You feel however you want to feel about that.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. And if you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing to the guy across from me. I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us. It's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them. And you strike them and you strike them. That's how you get respect. Physically, I will break them.
This is Sunday Dog Bones, and we are going to talk about everything that matters in the world of Georgia Bulldogs football this week. But we are also all about acknowledging champions. We talk about winners. And today I'm happy to share with you that there is a newly crowned champion wearing red and black in Athens, Georgia. The baseball team defeated the Mississippi State Bulldogs today to punch their ticket to the College World Series in Omaha here in a week or so. For the first time since 2008, the Georgia Bulldogs are going to go out there, play in that tournament, and have the potential to bring back a baseball national championship to Athens. This team has been so much fun to watch over the entirety of this season. We went to a few games this year, took the girls, had a great time, and every time we went out there, it was like watching batting practice. Didn't matter if the guys were hitting ropes to left field or shooting the ball the other way to right, or if they were just cranking bombs all across the beautiful trees that are there at Foley Field. This team's a whole lot of fun to watch. They've got enough pitching to get it done. Yes, they are going to be challenged in Omaha, absolutely, but there's no reason that this team can't go out there and win the whole thing. As for Mississippi State, that was a good team too. They very easily could have deserved to be in Omaha, but our Georgia Bulldogs defeated the Mississippi State Bulldogs 6 times this season, swept them at their place, and then swept them here in the Super Regional, and our Dogs are headed back to Omaha. So it's been fun to watch them, and all they did was win, win, win. They were regular season SEC champions. They only lost 1 series over the course of the entire season. They were SEC tournament champions, which we talked about last week. They were regional champions, sweeping through the first round of the playoffs. Now they are super regional champions, as I just mentioned, having defeated Mississippi State 6 times this season, swept them over the course of the entire season, and they are headed back to Omaha for the first time since 2008. I think that here in Athens, we might be on to a little something, maybe. It seems like all you have to do is get yourself a Georgia-born kid that goes by the name of Dan Jackson, and you are going to be playing for titles. Simple, right? So note to all the teams here at the University of Georgia, just go find your kid, find yourself a Georgia kid who goes by the name of Dan Jackson. I think you're going to be in good shape. The Dogs are headed back to Omaha for the first time since 2008. It looks like they're going to be joined by several SEC teams out there. At least they have the opportunity to be joined by several. And it is going to be a whole lot of fun to watch this tournament play out over the next few days. So before we go any further, it's time for me to welcome in everybody. Take a look around, see who's here with us like we always do, because this show is the show every week that is about you guys. I want to have interaction from the chat. I want to know what's on your mind, and we're going to talk about it. So let's see. Mickey's in here. Welcome in, Mickey. Steele is back in here with us as usual. There's Timothy. Always, we know Timothy's going to be in the chat. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Let's see who else we got in here. Who else is with us? DSG is in here with us. What's up from Nashville? He's asking everybody to let him know. Poke, who's that? Poke Painter. I don't know that I've seen you in here. Welcome. It's great to see you. How about them? How about them?
Told them, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
Steele, like I said, is in here with us. Halftime. What's up, Brian? You're in here with us. Don't matter what time you squeeze in the door. Everybody's welcome. We can stay as long as we like. Carol showed up. What's up, Carol? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm telling you, and this right here, Poke, the atmosphere was great in Athens. He says, I enjoyed the last couple of days of that baseball more than any sports event I've enjoyed in a while. And I completely agree. Completely agree. Because, well, first off, I love baseball, right? 25 years covering it. I love baseball. But I don't get to watch the Braves a lot. I don't get to watch a lot of Major League Baseball because of the television deals they got going on. I'm not going to chase the games, but if they're on, I'm absolutely going to watch them. But I don't get to see a lot of it. So this year, I've watched more Georgia baseball than I've watched Braves baseball, which seems crazy, but that's absolutely what's happened. And this weekend was great in Athens. All the things that make college sports fantastic were on display at Foley Field against Mississippi State over the last couple of days. You had big-time players making big-time plays when it mattered most. See today, Dan Jackson, probably going to win the Golden Spikes Award this year as the best baseball player in the nation, came through in the clutch, 10th inning, 2-run home run, sends the Dogs to Omaha. But he's done that all year. And he's not alone. If you look at the Mississippi State side, their stars, they played great too. The home run count in Athens this weekend, crazy. And it was just big hit after big hit or big pitch after big pitch. And the fans were all in. They showed up, supported the Dogs. Fantastic. You can catch some of the sights and sounds from Kudzu Hill. If you go check out my socials, you'll see just what it was like to be there and amongst the crowd. Just a lot of really good stuff. So if you've never gone to see a Georgia game in the past, obviously they're not playing at home anymore this year, but do yourself a favor. If you can, get out there, catch a game. It's a wonderful time. Again, we took our girls a couple of times this year to see them. They loved it. They had a great time. Came away with a baseball or two. So it's just a really good time. Can't recommend it high enough. High enough. Let's see. What did I say here? Oh, yeah, Brayson. What's up, Brayson? Back to checking in with everybody. Good to see you, neighbor. Glad you're in here. Good to see you. And everybody else still saying hello, saying what's up. And yes, it's Go Braves all the time. I just don't get to watch them, and it bums me out. So I've been watching. I get to watch hockey. I've been watching the Georgia Bulldogs here. And who is this? Alka Dabika. Welcome in. I don't know that I've seen you here before. Thanks so much for taking time to stop in and hang out with us for a little while. Because this show is the fun show. Y'all know we talk Dogs football 365 all the time. That's it. We don't focus on everything else. And that's why people come here. But when you're champions, I think that needs to be acknowledged. And I appreciate you guys joining me for that talk. Now, let's shift gears just a little bit and get into what's going on with the football program. This time of year, if you're talking football, there's not a whole lot going on, but there's always something going on. And right now, that's recruiting. And it's not just at Georgia, it's everywhere. Big official visit weekends are happening week after week. Georgia's having another one this week where they have committed players and prospects on campus. And what the first big news that has come out of this weekend so far is that the number one running back in America, Kamon Spell, he says, that's it, I'm done. I'm shutting down all my recruitment. It's over. He tried to tell everybody, listen, this is not about money for me. I flipped to Georgia from Penn State because I want to be at Georgia. I believe in what they're doing. I want to be the next great running back at the University of Georgia. The timeline sets up great for Spell to come in and have every opportunity to show who and what he is. And the young man tried to tell everybody, I am a Bulldog. But this weekend on campus for his official visit, he made it official as you can make it at this point. He has said, that's it. I'm shutting it down. No more visits. The only place I'm going to be going is to Athens between now and when I sign the papers. I'm a Bulldog through and through. So Bulldog Nation, we should be super happy because this young man here gets it. He knows what it means to work hard. He's tremendously talented, and he absolutely wants to be a Georgia Bulldog. He's a 3-down back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield as good as anybody I've seen in recent memory. He's explosive with the ball in his hands. He understands what it means to be a downhill back. You just can't be happier than what you've got with Come On Spell right now. So that is some great news. Come On Spell has shut down his recruitment and is going to be a Georgia Bulldog as soon as he has the opportunity to sign the papers. So that is tremendous news. But like I said, there were a lot of people who were in Athens this week that are coming in for visits. They had some other recruits come in, and this over the last weekend, they picked up some commitments since that last visit weekend. We're going to get into all that. But before we do, I'm going to jump back in the chat here. What is up, Kimberly? Good to see you back in here for a Sunday night show. I appreciate that. Oh, Alco's down in Dublin. Welcome in, friend. Good to see you. That is awesome. You know, my brother lives down in Dublin. You may have heard of him. He's running for office down there. So, Alco, if you haven't, check him out. He is running for office down there in Dublin. He wants to try to help fix that school situation y'all got going on down there. So, there's that. Josh is in here checking in from Facebook. Welcome in, Josh. Good to see you over here. This is cool. I love it when new faces show up in the chat. If you're hanging out and you haven't jumped in the chat, do so. Let us know where you're watching from. Tell a friend, share the stream, because we're going to be here for a little while. And we're going to talk about what you guys want to talk about. And if you have questions, I didn't yet, but if you have questions, if you'll mark them with a Q colon and put them in the chat, maybe that'll help me pick them out a little bit, and we'll make sure that we address those here this evening. We'll make sure that we get them in here as much as we can. And if I miss them, just keep hitting me up. Let me know. Don't let me miss them. Y'all help me out if I miss something. Yeah. So Kim's in here, man. That's cool. Haven't seen Kim in a moment. Let's see. Did I miss any questions? Were there any questions that came in earlier and I just didn't see them? Let's see. Going to the World Series. Man, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about how many SEC teams are making it out there, because we know that's going to be good baseball. North Carolina made it today. I saw that. So that'll be cool. I love watching tournament baseball. That's a good time. Let's see. Yes, definitely the future. I'm with you there, Steele. Absolutely with you. Stockbridge in here for Josh. Welcome in, buddy. F.I. Dog from Lamont, Florida, watching from Cedar Falls. Now, is that IA? Is that Iowa? Or is that Cedar Falls? Is that Iowa? I think that's Iowa. If that's Iowa, then F.I. Dog, you are the first Iowa visitor we have had for the live stream. So wear that proudly, if I got that right. Richmond Hill, what's up, Poke? That's what I'm talking about. And you're welcome, Paul Creason. You are welcome. This show is, I love showing up to do live streams, but usually I do a much more organized version of the stream. This stream is very much just hanging out, talking, whatever's on our mind. So I appreciate you checking us out, Paul. Fantastic. Let's see. Super pumped. That's right, Kim. Me too. All right. Out in Iowa. That's awesome. That is awesome. So far, we've had Hawaii check in. We have had, it was Oregon or Washington. I'm going to go with Oregon. Oregon, Iowa. The Southeast has checked in pretty regular. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina. We got all those covered. Tennessee. So, you know, we're doing pretty good. I love it when you guys spread out and jump on in here and let us know where you're from. That's awesome. Yeah, so this weekend, like I said, pardon me one second. This weekend, you've got, it's a big weekend, and there's a lot of big stars in terms of recruiting stars. There's a lot of top-tier talent that's in Athens this weekend that is getting their one-on-one time with the coaches and the players, learning about Athens if they're not from the area. And it is a big deal. Now, how much Georgia's going to be able to get these guys to commit and stick and stay, we'll see. But it usually takes, you know, a day or so after the visits are over, and then maybe you start to get these announcements. And there's a couple that we're watching. I have my eye on a big defensive lineman that I think might be about to be a Georgia Bulldog, but we'll see. We will see. But that's what they're doing. They're there learning about the school. They're learning about all the ins and outs of the football program. They're learning about the educational opportunities. They're figuring out all the NIL stuff. They're doing all that on their officials. So there's a lot of cool content that's coming out of Athens right now. If you follow the various social pages, you got coaches showing Sanford Stadium all lit up bright red, when the players get out there and see their highlights up on the big screen and all that stuff there in Sanford. It's cool. The photo shoots, the pictures are a whole lot of fun. So there's some good stuff coming out. And, I want to make sure that we are giving Mr. Spell his due, though, because that is a big deal. That is a big deal. When you've got the number one player at his position in the country essentially locked up, and you don't have to think about that anymore, and you understand that he wants to be on your team in the future. And again, the timeline is really good for Spell because this year there's a very real possibility that you're going to lose Nate Frazier after this year. There's a very real potential opportunity that Chauncey Bowens decides that he's going to head to the league as well if he has a big year. That would leave you with Jay Lamar, Dwight Phillips Jr. You've got Bo Walker coming back, but there would absolutely be an opportunity there for Kamon Spell if he decided he wanted to step in and show out early. And even if he didn't win the job straight up, he's the kind of player, based on what we know, that is going to demand reps as a true freshman. So either way, we're going to see Mr. Spell sooner rather than later would be my guess. And something else I want to point out to you, if you like inside the lines coverage, velvet rope material, head on over to How About Them Dogs Plus, because that is where all of my content goes. Videos, short forms, the private podcasts, the exclusive live streams that you do not get to participate in unless you are a paying subscriber over on Patreon. Don't worry. You think I don't want to pay for anything? Don't worry. I got you covered. I got the easiest bar to entry ever. You can get 3 months of full access for just $3. You can get How About Them Dogs Plus tier access. That means you're eligible for all of the giveaways, access to all of the private and exclusive live streams. It means that you have access to the private podcast, which obviously nobody else does. Discounts, voting opportunities, private community. It's all over there. If you want to go deeper and understand why Georgia wins and not just that they win, this is the place for you. So now, back to the recruiting. This is a name, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not even brave enough to try the young man's first name. So I'm just going to go with his nickname. And I'm going to say Gideon Taiwo was a commitment from last weekend's big official visit weekend. He's a young edge player from here in the state of Georgia, a twitched up, fast rising, currently ranked as 3-star edge rusher who went ahead and pulled the trigger and said, I'm going to be a Georgia Bulldog. He is already on social and other places recruiting for Georgia. He's out there saying, come be a part of what we're building. So these big official visit weekends, they build and grow and you pick up momentum. And it is important that you maintain momentum. Georgia had a big weekend this week, a big week this week coming off the last weekend, where they picked up not just one commitment to kick off last weekend, but then they followed it up with Gideon's commitment here at a position of need for Georgia, and they weren't done. As the week went along, the big recruit that was on campus last weekend, if you will, the one that maybe carried the most swagger about him, the most vibe in terms of whether or not he was going to commit to Georgia, was on campus last weekend, and that was Joakim Gouda. He is the top-rated linebacker in the state of Georgia. He's right up there nationally in terms of position. I forget his exact ranking currently. He is a very, very high 4-star young man. But forget all of that. If you want to know who this guy is, look up his film. Look up his tape, his game tape, and watch it. We're talking about the kind of guy that loves contact the way Thomas Davis loved contact. All right? absolute headhunter, absolutely looking to deliver some punishment when he arrives at the football, instinctive as a linebacker, and absolutely a Georgia Bulldog through and through. He's from the state of Georgia. He was a priority for Glenn Schumann in the linebacker room in this class. He was a priority for this class as a whole because it's the kind of player that you don't want to let leave the state of Georgia. And I understand that here in the world of NIL and portal, it is difficult to keep as many in-state players home the way you used to be able to do, because just the pull of playing close to home doesn't matter. Just the in-state school moniker doesn't matter the way it mattered in years past. But when you have the opportunity to do that, you really need to. And with the commitment of Gouda, that's exactly what Georgia did. It was a big deal. And I know that none of us should take anything that happens on Twitter too seriously because it's not real life. But these young men, they spend a lot of their time on the socials, Instagram, Twitter, various places. And doing this, I have to spend a lot of my time on there, kind of keeping tabs on what's going on. And Gouda had a good feeling about Georgia when he was in the recruitment process. And when he went for his official visit, that was not his first trip to Athens. He had been there many times before, including the scavenger hunt a couple of weeks prior. And it just seemed like it was a matter of time before he was going to become a Bulldog. So if that was the mood, then you know he was paying attention to what was being said about the University of Georgia and Kirby Smart and what moves they were making to build this class and get ready for the upcoming season. And then after his commitment, after he let it be known he was going to be a Georgia Bulldog, an in-state kid, a high 4-star blue chip player who's going to come and continue the linebacker tradition at the University of Georgia, which has cranked out 3 Butkus winners in very recent memory. He then went onto those very same social media platforms through an interview with Dog Nation over there and put this out into the world. He said, I want to be elite. There, meaning Georgia, an elite program. They're elite academically, elite exposure-wise, elite life after football, elite relationships. Everything is elite. I want to be an elite football player. I want to be an elite human. I want to be elite at Georgia. That was his quote about why he chose to commit to be a Bulldog. But more than that, if you go find the article and hear the behind the scenes about why he chose to come out so strong for Georgia and why he chose to come here, it's because he had heard all that rustling in Dog Nation about, man, we are 3-star U. We are Clemson 2.0. We don't have what it takes to recruit in today's college football. And Gouda heard and saw all this stuff out there. And he said, that's just simply not the case. Simply not true. Those are people who are just talking to hear themselves talk. Because the reality is, Georgia is everything that they have been. The only difference is the way they're going about recruiting. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Kirby Smart has told his staff in every evaluation they make, money's fine. It's part of the game, and I'm here for it. But get me a guy who is going to be at least 50-50 on the relationships part. Because if he's at least 50-50 on the relationships part, we're going to do what we need to do financially to make that happen. Georgia will not overextend or overpay for a 17 or an 18-year-old young man that has no proof of concept at the collegiate level. Will not happen. So if you are someone who expects Georgia to just do that, I just got bad news for you. That is not how things are working in Athens right now or in Kirby Smart. And they want to go get guys who are top-tier blue-chip players that want to be at Georgia, and then they're going to make the other half of that equation come together the right way. And that's what Joakim Gouda was trying to point out here, is that it is not the scuttlebutt that you hear out there on social media that is the reality in Athens. So Gouda added his name to the commitment list, and then a couple days later, and there had been a lot of talk about, can Georgia still get it done? What are they going to do? They're missing out on these big time prospects, all this kind of stuff. A couple days after Gouda commits, boom, another blue chip quarterback prospect, the class of 2027, which is the one Georgia had not yet locked in a quarterback for, decided to commit. Colton Nussmeier. Does that name sound familiar? He is Garrett's little brother. Garrett played at LSU the last couple of years. He is the son of an NFL offensive coordinator, Doug Nussmeier, and he is everything that Georgia needs him to be. He is mobile. He is accurate. He can push the ball down the field. He's experienced, and he wants to be at Georgia. The funniest way I heard this put this week was, and we know Georgia's been attempting to lock in a quarterback for the 27 class. The Arkansas Razorbacks, with their new head coach, who is an offensive-minded head coach in Ryan Silverfield, they had been all over Nussmeier, right? Which makes perfect sense. Arkansas goes into Texas, which is where Nussmeier's from. They're trying to pull a kid out of there to come be their future quarterback under their new head coach. They had been all over him. They believed, they thought they were going to get a visit. They thought they probably were going to get a commitment. And then Kirby Smart and the University of Georgia just sauntered into the room and dropped a few more dynasty points on the table. And it made all the difference in the world. The minute Nussmeier got that offer, he's like, yep, I see the room. I see it's deep. I see it's talented. But I like what they do there. I like that they prioritize the lines of scrimmage. I like that they don't get their quarterbacks killed, right, because they can't pass pro. Remember what I said about his dad, right, being an NFL offensive coordinator? This probably stings a little bit for all the people who are just adamant Mike Bobo haters, adamant Kirby Smart doubters who say Georgia's offense, something's wrong with it. It's not right. Conceptually, when you've got an NFL offensive coordinator who signs off and says, that's where I'm okay with you going because of the way they protect their quarterbacks and because of what they do, they can prepare you and get you ready. And Nussmeier said as much about his commitment to Georgia. He's like, I understand the development process there. It is what it is. You got to go compete. I get that, but I like what they do. When you've got people like this with bona fides like that, stepping up and saying, this is the place to be, as a Bulldog fan, you got to feel pretty good about that. And that's exactly what Nussmeier did. He is a lefty, which is cool, different. You don't see that all the time, so that'll be fun to watch. And I think he's going to be a good fit at the University of Georgia. But it's like I've been saying for months now, and if you follow the pod, you know this. The future of the quarterback position at the University of Georgia is one that is going to be deep, talented, and competitive. Period. Because don't forget, the number one quarterback in the country, Jaden Wade, has long been committed to the University of Georgia for the class of 28. Georgia was just missing that 27 commitment, and they have it now in Colton Nussmeier. So there's a lot to like about the direction of where Georgia is going right now with their recruiting overall and with the current movement that is happening in terms of recruiting for the Dogs. So let's jump back over here for a second. Let's see what's happening in the chat. I want to make sure I say my piece, but I want to make sure that we don't miss anything you guys got going on over here. Let's see. What do we got? Yep, Carol. He's all about Georgia, and that's exactly what we like. Cole is in here from Lula. I'm familiar with Lula. Welcome in, Cole. It's good to see you. Good to see you dropping in. Hemsley, we got some more big recruits on the way. No fret. We are UGA. Absolutely. And that's the thing that, this time of year, it happens every year. Happens every year. Some years you definitely hear it from fans. Some years you hear it more from the national media recruiting machine than other years. But the one thing is certain, Georgia's just getting this thing cranked up. They're camping players. They're having OVs. They're having these big weekends. At the end of the day, Georgia's going to be all right. But I will take this opportunity to say again, and the more I think about it, the more I believe I'm going to end up making a video about this that's going to stand alone. I just think this year, the 2026 season, when I talk about the superstructure that Kirby Smart has built in Athens over his decade there, when I talk about all the other parts of the puzzle that come together to help make Georgia football what it is, I am talking about the kind of things that are going to come home to roost this year. 2026 is the first real year where we're going to have an opportunity to see whether or not the Georgia model will work moving forward. This, on paper, is one of the most talented rosters Kirby Smart has ever had at Georgia. Certainly the most talented in the last 3 to 5 years, right? So I'm not talking about the 21 team, all right? We know how talented they were. I'm not talking about the 22 team. So 23, 24, 25. So the last 3 seasons, on paper, this team is the most talented that Kirby's had. That's based off of this recruiting style, the Georgia model, where NIL was in full effect, where the portal has been in full effect. And remember, when I talk about this model, I'm talking about who they choose to recruit, how they choose to spend their money in terms of NIL, what they do with roster management overall, and that brings in the transfer portal, who leaves, who goes, all of it. Plus the development. I think this year is where you really start to see whether or not the model that Kirby's put in place is working. And all of this is going to continue as we move forward, because you have to keep in mind that none of it happens in a silo. It's all on a sliding scale. So relatively speaking, Georgia, and I've been telling you guys this for months now, Georgia has an advantage heading into this season that most teams across the country don't have, and that is real depth. They have it along the lines of scrimmage, both sides. They have it in the running back room. They have it at linebacker. And across the entire roster as a whole, they have more depth than most teams in the country in an era of college football where people say it's impossible to build and develop that depth. It appears Kirby Smart, through the Georgia model, has been able to do it. And we're about to find out what that looks like and how it matches up against everybody else across college football. The games still have to be played. Circumstances are what they are in terms of injuries and those sorts of things. But heading into the year, it appears that Georgia might be positioned better to weather some of those challenges than most of college football. And that, in my mind, is a significant advantage for the Dogs heading into 2026. But we're going to see. We're going to see, because I think it's going to start to come together, and the results on the field are going to let us know what's going on. So Alonzo Green jumped in here with us. What's up, Alonzo? Good to see you. UGA all day. Knoxville checking in. See, told you, Tennessee, well represented. DSG's in here from Nashville. They're all over it. Up there in Knoxville, that's straight up enemy territory right there. So, good on you, Alonzo, for hanging in there, man, fighting the good fight. And yes, Carol. Yes, Carol's in here from Bowden. Mayretta Hemsel. I used to know a young lady who said it that way. Marietta, Georgia is in here, but she so quaintly would say, Mayretta. Southern voices. I'll tell you what. That's right, Hemsel. Quarterback is not the issue. That is not the problem. There are real deficiencies on this roster. Not saying there aren't, but quarterback is not one of them. And I love the competition in there, honestly. I feel really, really good about it. And yeah, he's got to work. There's no doubt. Tim is in here. What's up, Tim? It's good to see you on the Sunday night stream. Tim can tell you about those exclusive live streams, exclusive Q&A hangouts that we have over on Plus. Any questions? Just ask Tim. He'll let you know what's up. Timothy knows. He's been in there with us. I hope Carol's checked him out. I don't think Carol's made one live yet, but I know that she has access. So I hope that if you have any questions, just ask the people who are already in there with us. Again, 3 months, full access, link in the description below. Warner Robbins, who is that? Killer Jesse's in here with us from Warner Robbins. What's up? Welcome in. I don't think I've seen you before either. Please, I hope you'll stick around for a minute. And if you haven't, I see you guys are hitting that thumbs up for me. I see the little thumbs shoot across the screen. Thank you so much. If I'm doing a good job, let me know. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Means a lot. It tells everybody that we're over here, and I appreciate that. Warner Robbins, what's up? You got one call for an undefeated season in here. All my predictions are coming later, Killa. All my predictions are coming later. So that's what I'm saying. Jump on board. You'll be here for the ride. You'll get all the information as we make our way through it. Bruce has dropped something in the chat. Says, hello to all my dog friends. Sorry I'm late. The twins are here. We understand, bro. Take care of family. Whenever you get in, it's all good. Did anybody else? This has been my day. Did anybody else, husband, wife, partner, whatever, did anybody else have some help today fixing the lawnmower? Because I did. We've got a big riding mower. Shredded a belt yesterday when I went out there to handle some business. Completely blew up the whole afternoon, right? So what does the missus do? She's like, I got your part for you. She went out there, got everything laid out, did the hard part. She did it because I was unavailable. She did the hard part of taking the deck off the mower. And then I went out there and working together. Teamwork gets the dream work, makes the dream work. We went out there, got all the pulleys off, got the belt new belt on, got it all put back together, got the lawn mowed this afternoon. So there you go. Anybody else getting stuff done like that? Because that's how we do it over here. We are working together to make it happen. I know you guys don't care, but you know. Let's see. El Capitan Rafuco salutes. What's up? Welcome in. I don't remember reading that name before either. That pleases me. Welcome into the chat. It's good to see you here. Good to see you. What else? Who else is in here with us? Calicut to Georgia Southern. I know. And okay, DSG is talking about the flip that happened this week. Chase Calicut was the DB from Texas. At the time last year, if I'm not mistaken, he was a high 4-star, potentially a 5-star recruit out in the Houston area, out in Texas, and committed to Georgia. And then once the season got going, he got into some trouble or was involved in a situation where there was some trouble happening. And he was eventually, I forget if the charges were dropped or if he was acquitted or what happened, but somehow he got all of it cleared. But Georgia had a commitment from him, and then I don't know if they pulled the offer. I don't know if he didn't want to sign with Georgia, because the last I heard from him, he said, I'm looking forward to being in Athens. So I don't know if the coaches just backed off a little bit because of the troubles and moved on with the class. If it was a numbers thing, I'm not certain. But as DSG points out here, Chase Calicut has now committed to play at Georgia Southern. Do you think that's a stash a guy away and bring him in next year kind of situation? I don't have any idea what Clay Helton and Georgia Southern are thinking about doing. I know that there were some connections between the people who recruited him at Georgia that are now at Georgia Southern. So he had a connection there at Georgia Southern. And when he was being recruited to Southern Cal, Dante Williams, who is at Georgia now and got his commitment at Georgia, was working for Clay Helton at Southern California. Clay Helton is now at Georgia Southern, so there was a connection there. So even if Georgia couldn't offer him or couldn't take his commitment, there were people who were involved in his recruitment to Georgia that may very well have had a hand in directing him to Georgia Southern to help the young man move beyond his troubles. So regardless of whether or not he ends up transferring into Georgia eventually, which to your point could absolutely happen, because my understanding and having seen a little bit of tape on the young man, he looks absolutely capable of playing at Georgia. If there's anything else going on, I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that coaches coach players to help young men grow. And if there were coaches who had an opportunity to help this young man, maybe not at Georgia, but help this young man move into the next phase of his life, which would be attending college, and they had connections in a couple of places and could help sort of grease the path to direct him to a certain school, I would not doubt for a moment that there were coaches who made phone calls or something of the sort to help say, hey, take a look at this kid. Tremendous player. We couldn't take him for whatever the reason, but he deserves a shot to play. I would think there's a high likelihood that that happened. Now, whether ultimately he decides to come to Georgia or transfers in or whatever, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. If somehow we learn that that's the case, which I doubt we ever would, but if we did, then that would be a little bit of a chess game that's happening, you know, and there's no rule against it. So it would be really, really interesting. But I don't think we're ever going to know that something like that happened. But I do feel confident in saying I think the coaches, if they had an opportunity to help the young man, that they absolutely would. So I guess that's my thoughts on that one. Hey, thanks, Timothy. That's just a nice thing to say, man. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, Kim. Kim knows. Kim's had the pleasure, or rather, my family has had the pleasure to meet Kimberly. But Alice, she's about it. She's like, whatever, I'll go do it. So she went out there and took care of that. You know what I mean? She just, I was like, here's what has to happen. Cause I was riding yesterday when it broke down. I'm like, here's what happened. We got to get a belt. And, so she ordered the belt. She, made sure it was here today so we could get it done today. And then before I was available to get out there and help, she was like, man, I got it taken apart, took the deck off, had it ready to rock and roll. I just went out there and helped show up for the trophy. You know what I mean? She did all the hard work, I think. That was awesome. And yeah, DSG, Calicut's quite the talent. There's no doubt. No doubt about that. See, and Cole's checking in here saying they were dropped. And I thought that was right. I didn't know how they phrased it. You know, dropped, quit. I didn't know. But I thought he was cleared. And I thought he might end up in Athens. And that's why I say maybe it is I just don't know if it was a numbers thing. I just don't know. So it'll be interesting to follow that story for sure. DSG. Absolutely. El Capitan has a question. I have a question. What about the production of the wide receiver room and the pass rush defense? Pass rush defense. Okay. 1 second. All right, El Capitan. I'll try to run through my thoughts here for you. I will suggest, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go back and watch the videos, because I've talked about this more in depth there, and especially over on Plus. But here's what I think. And I just talked about this when I graded the wide receiver room last week on the podcast this past Wednesday. So I give the current wide receiver room a grade of C+ heading into the season, because both ways. The reason they're at a C+ is because we haven't seen them do it. It's not their fault. We just haven't seen them produce, because you've had other guys that, you know, were better positioned to be on the field than these guys were. whether that was injury, whether it was circumstantial, whatever it was. These guys didn't get their opportunities yet. So we can't very well say we know what they're going to do because we haven't seen it. But we know what we hear and what's been reported officially and what insiders say. And you've got guys out here saying things like Talon Taylor is the best freshman receiver I've ever seen. And you ask yourself, well, why didn't he play more last year? Well, he had an opportunity early, then he gets hurt, and he has to miss like 8 weeks. That's why we didn't see a lot of him. But then we saw him at the end of the year. And based on what we saw at G-Day, all the talk about his athletic ability, the way he attacks the football, the way he runs his routes, all those things looked like what I was hearing when I was watching him play. So there's no reason to think that Talon is not going to come out and have every opportunity to show us exactly who he is. And I think he's going to be a heck of a football player for Georgia. And there are other guys just like him. C.J. Wiley, Thomas Blackshear, right? Injuries, or they were buried on the depth chart, or Sokovie White-Helton, same thing. He was sitting behind Zachariah Branch last year. There are so many players that they just haven't had their opportunity that are now going to get that opportunity. So I put them at a C+. C+ because we haven't seen them. But the plus is that I fully expect that if I regrade this team at the end of the year, at that position, it's not going to be a C+. It's going to be up near the A range, B+ to an A, depending on exactly who and how many of these players break through and show out the way I think they're going to. So in terms of their capability to play for Georgia this year and do things that are really going to make things happen, I think the rest of the country is about to be introduced to the wide receivers that Georgia has. I think there are playmakers there: Dandridge, White-Helton, C.J. Wiley, Talon Taylor, London Humphreys, Landon Rolden. I think there are lots of players. Terrell Williams, Jeremy Bell, names that the nation doesn't know. But if you watch this channel, you know them. You know of them, and you know their potential. I think by the time we get to the end of the year, that's not even going to be a conversation. Georgia's got players. We just don't know them, and they're going to introduce themselves here in 2026. So that's how I feel about the production for the wide receivers. You also ask about the pass rush defense. All right, so I'm assuming what you mean there is, can we get after the passer? And I've talked about that too. I will talk about it more this upcoming week as I grade the defense. But I've already broken down the defensive line and the edge position over on Plus. Those are some of the exclusive breakdowns that we have over there. And I think Georgia's pass rush is, just to be straight about it, is I think they're going to be better. I think you're going to have a healthy Gabe Harris, who was dominant at the end of last year at one of the edge positions, defensive end positions, however you want to think about it. And then you've got Quintavious Johnson on the other side, who's back for year 2, who really started to make his name known at the end of the year as well. But it's more than those two. You've got the young guys. You've got Isaiah Gibson, who I think is going to be a really, really good player for Georgia. You've got Chase Linton, who is already showing us that he's a really, really good player for Georgia at the edge position. Both of those dudes are going to be counted on to get after the passer. Then it gets really fun because I am really looking at Zayden Walker and Chris Cole as names that are going to have a huge impact for Georgia in terms of getting after the passer here in 2026. And I'm not done. The defensive line, Elijah Griffin, Nnamdi Ogboko, Xavier McLeod, right there in the middle, have the ability to push that pocket from the middle. And when you have that ability, you are going to make that quarterback uncomfortable. He's going to have to flush one way or the other. And that's where those edge and outside linebacker types are going to make their hay. They're going to do their work. I think this Georgia defense, and I'm not even getting into how I think it fits into the scheme on a much larger scale, what I expect from the defensive backs, what I think they're going to be able to do in terms of matching up and special packages and all that kind of stuff. To be short about it, Georgia's pass rush is going to be better this year. There is going to be a greater rate of havoc for that unit. And I am super excited to see it because I'm a defensive guy at heart and I can't wait to see those guys go hunting this year. So I hope that answers your question, friend. Yes, Poke, going to Georgia Southern. So he's going to have an opportunity to go play football, right? In a good conference. I mean, it is what it is, but that's a competitive conference. You go down there and show what you can do, and who knows, he might decide to transfer. We will wait and see. All right, Tim, see, now you're ringing the bell a little bit here for me, because I think you're right. Tim is saying, and I'm going to put this on the screen so I can read it a little bit better. He says, there's a spirit and a climate of optimism and guarded certainty of excellence this year in the capital of the free world, Athens, the classic city. And he noticed it last week when he was in town. I believe they're hiding their cards. I would tend to agree with you there, because when you hear people in the building talk about what it is that they have to be better at, it's not Gunnar Stockton. They're not worried about quarterback. They're worried about two things. One we just talked about, getting after the passer and actually finishing the play and putting them on the ground, or creating havoc to the point where they can be ineffective, right? Tackles for loss, so on. So havoc, getting after the passer, and then explosion on offense and defense for that matter. Explosive plays in the kicking game, in the defensive game. Can we get turnovers? Can we get pick sixes? Can we do things that flip the field like that? And then offensively, are we going to be explosive in the run game? They showed us at G-Day that they can be. Are we going to be explosive in the passing game? We saw at G-Day that they can be at wide receiver and at the tight end position. So now they have to go and execute. I just really think that Kirby's confident, and I think he is confident in also part because of what I was talking about earlier in terms of his ability to know that he's bringing back his quarterback in the SEC, which is a big deal. To know that, and there's some more stuff here that I won't get into right now, but to know that he has an experienced roster. He has depth that the rest of the league probably doesn't have, with the exception of one team or two, maybe. So I think he knows what he's got, and now they just have to go execute. And, and again, I'll say it 100 times, the game is the game. Injuries happen, the ball bounces funny, but to start the year, absolutely, I think Kirby and everybody in that building is feeling pretty confident about what they have going into the year. Squares, let's get those squares. Let's study, guys. I'm with you. Sedgwick, what's up, Sedgwick? How about them Diamond Dogs, friend? We talked about that right off the top. Spent a lot of time talking about those Diamond Dogs. That's good stuff. So happy for them. Tim seconds the Talon Taylor talk. So there we go. Yep, Riddle's in trouble. Or was in trouble. And Dinkins might very well take that spot. It is so interesting to me how that's going to work out. Who's going to play that safety 2, the strong safety? I just call it safety 2 because KJ is safety 1. So that safety 2 position, and then who's going to lock down that star position? I'm very interested to see what they do right there, because I think that's going to be really cool. On PlayStation, Talon Taylor shows out for me. Well, there you go, DSG. And I'm not picking on you. You know this. When I say this is not a video game, man, let's have fun on the video games while we can. You know what I mean? Manifesting. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah, Carol, I really do think that they just don't know what's up with the wide receiver room. I just think they don't know. And who can fault them? Again, that's why, as fans, we get to choose who we listen to and pay attention to. And if you are going to come spend time with me here, for an hour or so, then I hope that you come away from this going, oh, okay, maybe I learned a little something I didn't know or hadn't thought about, right? Because it's the guys that are around the program that know what's up, that, that really matters, in my opinion. So the national dudes, they aren't going to know about our team the way the guys who are covering the Dogs all the time are going to know about them. You know what I mean? And so there you go. Actual factual. Now, I'm not exactly sure which statement you're referring to there, Hemsley, but that's awesome. Yes, Isaiah Gibson. I'm telling you, I think he's going to show out. I'm telling you, him, Zayden, Chase. There's a bunch of talent in that room, and it's going to be fun to see them find their legs this year. That's for sure. Let's see. I posted a video today for something cool that happened this week, and I didn't put it in the show, but it's over on Plus, and you can see it there. It's one of the free posts over there, and they I got a notification, and it actually happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe, but I just haven't had an opportunity to talk about it yet. But cool thing happened. Todd Hartley has decided to follow me over on X and on Instagram and watch the videos and stuff that I put out. And I've made a video recently about one of his crew, the tight ends. And I got a message from Coach Hartley, and he's like, 100% spot on in your analysis. And I'm telling you, friends, I should know a little something just because of my work history, my career. It's all I've ever done. But it does make you feel good when the coaches acknowledge, yep, that's right. Like it's just something extra. So I do feel good about that. And that's why I say, if you guys choose to come and hang out with me over here for the live streams, join us over on Plus, get in the community, do all the things. I like to think that the perspective that we talk about here, the way we look at the game is different, and I hope it adds something to you, to your fandom, right? Because that's the goal. That is the goal always. What do we got going on here? LSU fans in the house, Sedgwick? Really? LSU fans in the house with you? Well, enemy territory. I hope you're being a good host. I'm sure you are. It happens. Everybody can't be perfect. I worked with an LSU fan for 15 years, and he was a really good LSU fan. Like he was always a fan. Didn't matter if they were good or bad or whatever. He was always a fan. He was always fun to talk to around the newsroom. He was just he was a good guy, but he was an LSU fan. And so when I needed to talk SEC specifically, then he and I would slip off, to the side of the room there and talk SEC for a while, because I knew he understood exactly what was going on. You know what I mean? Hey, what's up, David? Checking in from Pennsylvania. That's what I'm talking about. See, we are growing this thing. And every time that you guys share the stream, every time you tell a friend, every time you get somebody to follow to the podcast on Spotify or Apple or whatever it is, new people discover us. And that is just a glorious thing, in my opinion. Makes me super happy. That's awesome, Dave. Thanks for checking in and dropping something in the chat, friend. I appreciate it. Well, it looks like we've done pretty good tonight. Let's see. We talked about recruiting. We talked about the baseball team doing what they're doing. I'm looking forward to that, seeing where that goes. And we are going to keep our finger on the pulse, keep our ear to the ground about these recruits, right? We're going to see what shakes out over the next little bit here, because now that we are a week into June, I'm sure if you went and looked at your local news stand and you still look for magazines, you can find your college football preview magazines. They are out and about. So we are getting toward the season with every time I show up here and we talk about the Dogs. And that makes me happy because that just means that Georgia football is going to be back sooner rather than later, if you know what I mean. SEC Media Days are coming. Like I said, we get the College Baseball World Series that we get to enjoy over the next week and a half to 2 weeks. So that's going to take up the rest of June pretty much. Then, like I said, SEC Media Days are in the middle of July. and then we will absolutely be downhill to the season. And we are just building our momentum. That's all. And if you choose to come over and check out Plus, again, link in the description below this video. If you choose to come take advantage of that 3 months of full access, then you will be eligible for the jersey giveaways, for another exclusive giveaway. A friend of the channel, Peach Jack Apparel, has decided they want to join us for the summer explosion here. So we're going to be doing a Peach Jack giveaway in coordination with SEC Media Days. So if you are a paying member over at Patreon, you will be entered for all of those opportunities. Plus, there's the exclusive live streams, which will be coming up here in a couple weeks for this month, and the exclusive podcast that you're not going to find anywhere else. So you can download that from your favorite app and listen to it, or listen to it right there on the website. Everything you want as a Georgia Bulldog fan with real information, I got you. So come on over, check it out. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. 50 folks, more than 50 in here for the live stream tonight for the most part. 27 thumbs up. So not bad. I did okay, I guess. And I will always try to do better, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for a little while. We have come to the top of the hour. I think I'm going to put a bow on it. If you don't see me before then, you'll see me back here on Wednesday night for the live stream for the How About That DAWGSCAST. And just follow me on the socials. Join us over on Patreon for all of the things. All of the things. The free stuff, the exclusive stuff, it's all there in one spot, which makes life easy, if you ask me. So, wait a minute. What do we got here? Dogs206, thanks for dropping a comment in the chat. What's going on? What are we talking about? Adams is apparently flipping. Oh, well, he's likely done, and Kirby needs a serious reflection of how he will handle recruiting moving forward. Okay, well, we will see. Like I said, this is the kind of season where we're going to find out whether or not this process is going to work moving forward. We're going to see the results on the field, and we're going to see how this class winds up. So I am very interested in actually what it ends up looking like. I haven't seen that report anywhere else. I know he was on a trip, so could very well be happening. We will all find out soon enough. You guys take care. I will see you Wednesday. Take care of yourselves, your friends, your families. Take care of each other. And as always, go Dogs!